All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful, truly fundamental ideas in all of programming, repetition. Think about it. How do you tell a computer to do something 1,000 times without, writing the same line of code 1,000 times? Well, the answer is way more elegant than you might think.
Have you ever felt like you're just stuck on repeat? You know that feeling, right? Maybe you're addressing 100 envelopes or staring at a mountain of dishes after a party. It's that one task that's just the same thing over and over. It's so tedious, so boring, it can be totally mind-numbing.
Well, guess what? Programmers face this exact same problem. Can you just imagine having to write the same line of code 1,000 times just to get one thing done? It would be wildly inefficient and honestly a total recipe for mistakes. Yep, in the world of code, we pretty much call this Groundhog Day. So that's the big problem, right? The programmer's Groundhog Day. How do we break that cycle? How do we get the computer to handle these jobs smartly without just endlessly copying and pasting? Thankfully, there is a much better way.
And that solution comes down to one core concept: iteration. Now, I know that sounds a little fancy, but it's really simple. It just means repeating a process, but in a controlled way to get the outcome you want. And the specific tool that programmers use to make iteration happen, well, that's the star of our show today.
And that tool is the loop. Seriously, a loop is a programmer's best friend. It's this fundamental little piece of code that just automates repetition. It saves us so much time, so much energy, and you wouldn't believe how many headaches. This is how we turn that Groundhog Day nightmare into a productive powerhouse. So what is a loop, really? At its absolute core, it just tells the computer one simple thing. Do this again and again until a specific condition is met. That's it. You've got the action you want to repeat, and you've got the rule for when to stop. But, as we're about to see, there are a few different and very important ways to give that instruction. Okay, let's dive into our first tool. This is the for loop. I like to call this one the counter, and for a good reason. Because at its heart, its main job is just to count. So here's the key thing to remember. You use a for loop when you know exactly how many times you need to repeat something. There's no mystery involved. You know from the get-go, I need to do this 5 times, or 100 times, or even 1,000,000 times. Think of it like a recipe that says, stir this mix exactly 10 times. The number is set in stone before you even start. And here's the blueprint, the 3 essential parts of any for loop. First, you've got initialization. That's just asking, where do we start counting? Then you have the condition, which asks, how high are we counting to? And finally, the increment. That's, how are we getting there? Are we counting by 1s, by 2s? So you have your start, your stop, and your step. It's really as simple as that. Okay, that's great if you know the number, but what if you don't know how many times you need to repeat something? What if you just need to keep going until a certain condition changes? Well, for that, we need a different kind of tool. Let's talk about while loops, which I like to call the checkers. See, a while loop doesn't really care about counting at all. It's all about checking a condition. It's like telling someone, hey, keep stirring this sauce as long as it's lumpy. You don't know if that's going to take 10 stirs or 50 stirs. You just keep checking the condition. Is it smooth yet? And you keep on stirring until the answer is yes. Now, the while loop has this close cousin, the do while loop. And they're almost identical, except for one really critical difference: timing. A normal while loop, the one we just talked about, it checks the condition before it does anything. So if the condition isn't true to start with, the loop might not run at all, 0 times. But the do while loop, oh, it's an act first, ask questions later kind of loop. It performs the action once, then it bothers to check the condition. And that's why I call the do while loop the guarantor. It guarantees that the action will happen at least one time. This is perfect for something like showing a menu in a program. You have to display the options at least once before you can ask the user to make a choice, right? That's a job for the guarantor. Okay, so let's recap. We've got the counter, which is our for loop. We've got the checker, our while loop. And we've got the guarantor, the do while loop. 3 really powerful tools for handling repetition. But the big question now is, how do you know which one to pick for the job? Well, let's break it down with a super simple guide. This table pretty much lays out the whole decision process for you. It all starts with one key question. Do I know the exact number of times I need to repeat this? If the answer is yes, boom, your choice is easy.
You're going to use a for loop, but if the answer is no, then you just have one more question to ask yourself. Does this thing need to happen at least once guaranteed? If the answer is yes, you need the guarantor, the do-while loop. And if the action might not need to happen at all, then the checker, our standard while loop, is the tool for you.
And there you have it, the loop. It's really the engine that turns tedious, boring repetition into automated power. This is the concept that handles everything from just simple counting all the way up to the complex logic that runs inside a video game. So now that you have this power, the ability to automate pretty much any repetitive task you can think of, the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve first?